Welcome back, everyone, and a very happy Halloween to you all. We did it! 31 days. We finally made it. Now we can don some costumes and go trick-or-treating, am I right? But we finally have a look at the ultimate 2022 Halloween figure, the Four Horsemen's Headless Horseman, Figura Obscura. Look at that gorgeous artwork packaging right there. And that's by Nate Bersch. You definitely know his artwork, specifically Motu as well. So definitely check him out on Instagram because there's gorgeous artwork everywhere, all over this box. It's adorned with it. And I like that they gave the Headless Horseman a real quick bio, right? Kind of encapsulates the spirit, the essence of the Headless Horseman. And again, the artwork really emulates all of that. Now, what I really like is that the front of the box is a bit of a magnetic clasp and it folds down and you get a good look of the figure and the horse in a nice window box packaging. Check that out. You have the Headless Horseman. You get to see all the various accessories. So you got two pumpkin heads and then a giant black steed. And that is dang awesome if I tells you what. And I like that the reverse side of that magnetic clasp is a really nice backdrop of Sleepy Hollow. It's exactly what I think about for the Headless Horseman. And on the bottom of the actual packaging, a little bit of a write-up, Horseman, yada, yada, adult collectible. Here's the barcode as well. And I'm very excited because this is my very first official Mythic Legions, all that kind of stuff, action figure. So really looking forward to checking this guy out. So sit back, relax, grab yourself a nice hot spooky cup of coffee. This is a look at the brand new for 2022, the Headless Horseman by Four Horsemen Studios. And of course, here's everything taken out of the packaging. And I will tell you this, if you are looking for an incredible Headless Horseman action figure, then really look no further. This is exactly what they say it is. It's the Headless Horseman, and that's what I wanted. He does come with a couple extra hands. You've got some real, kind of come hither and weapon-holding hands, and you've got this really cool, you put the pumpkin on this one, you know what I'm talking about there. More on that, but I really love this accessory right here. It's a little peg, and then on this side, it's the severed head, or what remains of the horseman. And then you have his sword, which has got a really nice sheen to it, nice silver. It's a very light sword, but it does the trick. And you have some extra swap out mane action for the horse. So it's a wild whipping mane as opposed to more, bedhead kind of mane. And then you have this giant cape. One side is black. One side is this really gorgeous red, and it is a bendy wire cape, which that is always appreciated. Love the way that this looks. It's got a real chain on it. Just absolutely fantastic overall. It's heavy. It's a nice, thick, really well done cape. Couldn't be happier, and I'll show you exactly how it goes on him in just a few. You have one of two pumpkin heads. This one is the more flamed out version. You got lots of clear plastic. Put a light underneath that and watch it burn, and I particularly love the way the pumpkin is painted. I like the way the eyes are set ablaze. This is fantastic. This is exactly what I wanted for getting a Headless Horseman action figure. And then, of course, you have the giant black steed, which I just always called him Daredevil. If you've seen Sleepy Hollow, the movie, you know what I'm talking about. This is a really well-designed, well-painted horse, and you gotta have a Headless Horseman with a horse. It's like Ghost Rider and a motorcycle. The two just go together. But you see how the mane is a little bit down. You can swap that out. The saddle, the stirrups, really nice texturing throughout. Really nice paint throughout. Everything is really well sculpted, well designed. Everything fits. Nothing is falling apart. Nothing's falling off. Very happy with the way that this guy came out. And I especially love the hooves right here. You have a little bit of some red that bleeds into the black of the horse, like his hooves are set ablaze. And I love the bottom of that. It's very hot. That's very, very cool. I like the way that that looks from the stirrups to the back to the tail, which is articulated. Still a little bit more red, just the ever little bit of burgundy thrown into the mane and on the tail. So just gives that extra element of this horse is hot to trot, right? You're welcome for that joke. Now the articulation on Daredevil totally works for me. It's not overly articulated, but it does enough to where you really want to pose this guy out and do the whole I'm riding a horse, throwing a flaming pumpkin, it definitely works. So you get some rockage in the neck and at the face and all the various components of a horse. So the front hooves and the knees, however the anatomy of a horse goes, right? So you have a little bit of a rock there. You got the hoof action. So that's really nice. Again, it's just really funny to talk about the anatomy of a horse. But yet, here we are. Spins at the knee and a little bit of a rock right here, goes up and down, and he balances very nicely. One pose in particular you can totally rock, which I'm very happy about. More of that in just a second. You got the back legs. You can kick someone through a barn door if you want. Very thick, heavy legs right there. And again, you have the front rotation. You have some rotation in the actual joints. And then the hooves will go up and down and twist, and you get the idea. This horse is well articulated for a horse, right? Not overly articulated like Amazing Yamaguchi, right? We don't need that, but I like that the tail goes up and down just in case, you know what I mean? One of those, you need to pose it in a very distinct way. So from Daredevil to the Headless Horseman now, you got a really great action figure. And like I said, this is my first foray into the 4 Horsemen figures. I'm not going to go into like, oh, I'm going to start collecting all this kind of stuff. I just wanted a cool Halloween figure, and I really think they delivered. I love the purple. I love the elements of the purple mixed with some elements of a burgundy on the back. I'm going to assume that, much like other companies, they reuse figures, but the cape drapes over that so you don't see that because there's nothing to go in the backside. The texturing in the arms, the gloves, every little rivet, every little buckle is painted beautifully. And I like all the belts and such. He's got a little bit of a weapon storage right there. You can slip the sword through that. Down to his boots. It's a whole lot of black, right? Black plastic. But for what paint is there, it's really done nicely. And then you have a ball-jointed pumpkin head. And this is the one without the flames attached to it. So definitely dig that. It's more of a simplified pumpkin head, but it works. I love it. I love both of them. You get some nice rotation in the arms. The arms will go out, they'll go up. He does have single-jointed elbows, which totally works for me. He'll spin at the elbow, the wrists. It's that typical type of articulation that a lot of action figures these days have. But again, it's fun for me to check out. You get a little bit of, we'll say, an ab crunch and more twist at the waist. Kind of goes back, kind of goes forward. Enough for me. You got some legs that go out. Hopefully they go out, right? This guy's supposed to be getting on top of a horse. And he does have some thigh swivel. He's got single jointed knees, which again, totally works. He will spin at the knee as well. Down to his boots, which are great. A little bit of an ankle rock, up, down, left, right. So yeah, just enough articulation to get this guy doing all the typical Sleepy Hollow Christopher Walken things that you want, right? So let's get this guy a-going. So you want to pull off the head and start swapping things out. Well, you can do that easy peasy. It just simply comes out. The first time I did this, it stayed in there. The second time, of course, the whole thing pops out. You can get both pieces disconnected really easily. So you have this neck peg if you want to go that route, or you could put the more severed neck look in there, which I love seeing that, like the throat, the vocal cords, the spinal cord. This piece pops out, and you just want to kind of push that in. This stays for the most part, but you can easily retrieve it. Now you grab the cape, and you simply just slide it over his shoulders. It doesn't really attach any other way. You want to go ahead, just kind of hold down on the chain, right? And then pop this element right back in. Little purple scarf kind of fits over the chain just enough to kind of keep it. It'll move with the figure enough, but it will also stay. So in that sense, the design works for me. I totally dig that. Now, if you don't want to use the peg and you just want to situate them, you can just put both of the pumpkin heads right on top of the collar. And as long as he's standing still and you're not doing too much with it, yeah, for the most part, it stays. It'll kind of rock, but it works, right? So in going back to the hand with the little ball peg on it, this is obviously to hold the various pumpkin heads. And holds them, they do, which I totally dig. You just kind of push it on there. The one main problem, the biggest problem with this Horseman figure is that this particular hand, and only this hand, while it looks good holding the pumpkin heads, right? You simply just tilt them or you kind of rock them a little bit, and it's incredibly loose. Way too loose for a brand new, very expensive figure. Mind you, this guy was about $150 out the door. I am extremely bummed on this. especially the bigger head with all the flames because it's a lot heavier. You really have to situate it. This is the main thing that the Horseman does, and unfortunately, it's way too loose to properly hold the figure. And in kind of posing him out, it does come up much later as well. Now, to swap out the manes of the horse, these simply just pop right out. It's easy peasy, just pull that out. You kind of want to slip the front of that right underneath the straps, and it simply just pegs in, and it looks like Daredevil is just going crazy, which is awesome. So, I digress. This is a very cool, very holiday-inspired Halloween action figure. The paint is superb. I love the cape, the weapons, the hands, everything about it works. The one gripe, the major bummer, is that one particular wrist is way too loose. So much more loose than it should be, and that's like the main hand because you want to be able to hold the pumpkin, and it stays for the most part if he's just not moving. But then, of course, when you want to situate him in that pose where you want to throw the pumpkin, right, because the Headless Horseman does that as well, that's kind of problematic sometimes. It's not a detrimental, oh my god, the figure, blah, blah, blah. It's just kind of a bummer, really, and especially at that price. When you get the horse and the rider, and you get them situated, and the feet in the stirrups, and you get the sword, and the capes a-flowing, you kind of forget about that whole situation. I'll be honest with you. But I got to point it out, because honestly, when I was first dealing with it, I was like, are you kidding me? That's like the main thing that the Horseman does. But dang it all, horse does look great. It's painted beautifully. The rider's painted beautifully. And you get him all situated, and it's just, it rocks. This is a gorgeous action figure, and one that I'm very happy to have in my collection. But the main pose, the one that I was really hoping that it could do, and it can, you get the horse rearing, bucking, you got the Horseman holding the pumpkin head, ready to toss it at old Ichabod Crane. It looks glorious. This is a great looking action figure. Very happy to have it on my shelf, and one that will be in my collection and pulled out every Halloween going forward. So that's the fun of it all. Now, if you're wondering as to the scalature of this particular Headless Horseman, Marvel Legends, Mattel, Motu Masterverse, he is around that height, give or take, especially with the flames, right, on that particular head. So around the 6.5, 7-inch mark is where he about clocks in. He's a little bit shorter than, say, Spawn. Depends on the Batman, of course, from McFarlane Toys. But the main reason I got this guy is there were no Ghostbusters anything for this Halloween. Like, absolutely nada. So when I saw this, I was like, yeah, that's like a Ghostbusters thing, right? I could totally justify that with their Headless Horseman and everything else. So this kind of takes the place, and I was just jonesing for a Ghostbusters figure, a cool ghost figure, a good monster figure, and it definitely does the trick. So that is going to wrap it up for my look at the brand new The Four Horsemen's Headless Horseman Figura Obscura. And you've heard my thoughts. Now I'm curious to know yours. Comment below. Let me know. Let's talk everything Headless Horseman. And again, a very happy Halloween. Have a safe Halloween to whatever you may do. Just have a blast doing so. Thank you to everyone who watched my Retro October videos, right, for retro shiz throughout the entire month. We got the holidays are coming up, and we're going to have some more fun as well. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. As always, drink some great coffee, eat some great food, but most importantly, remember, I got to pull out my McFarlane Toys Sleepy Hollow figures now, right? I got to do it. When we do, let me know what you found. I'll talk to you guys soon. Adios. Ha 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 ha!